Good morning. Today we will study Introduction to Oral Literature. Who am I? My name is Shalon Maureen Atede, and I'll be helping you learning African oral literature. In this recording, we shall give a simple definition of oral literature and give the generic classification of oral literature. So, what is oral literature? In a book entitled African Oral Literature for Schools, Jane Nandwa and Austin Bukenya define oral literature as those utterances, whether spoken, recited, or sung, whose composition and performance exhibit to an appreciable degree the artistic character of accurate observation, vivid imagination, and ingenious expression. Simply put, oral literature refers to traditional art forms handed down across generations orally or by word of mouth. But there is a contradiction that exists in literature being oral but at the same time being literature. The expression oral literature is self-contradictory in the sense that literature, strictly speaking, is that which is written down. But the term literature is in this case used to emphasize the imaginative creativity and conventional structures that mark oral discourse too. Oral literature shares with written literature the use of stylistic devices like heightened language, metaphors, irony, rhyme, rhythm, and sarcasm in various ways. What differences exist between oral literature and written literature? Oral literature forms are authored by communities and not individuals. On the other hand, written literature is authored by individuals. Oral literature forms are performed and not just written. Literature, on the other hand, as we conventionally know it, is written rather than performed. Oral literature is applicable to a defined context, although it can be applied universally. The context of written literature does not majorly affect the meaning. And finally, setting and performance take center stage in making meaning out of any oral literature piece. Most written literature, on the other hand, is not performed except drama and poetry. So what relationship does oral literature share with literature as we know it? If we have oral literature on one hand, and we have written literature on the other, this is the relationship that exists between written literature and oral literature. The use of stylistic devices like heightened language, metaphors, irony, rhyme, rhythm, and sarcasm. We shall now go to the classification of oral literature. There are various modes of classifying oral literature, but for this lecture, we shall use the generic classification to identify the various forms of oral literature. This kind of classification defines oral literature terms on the basis of their characteristics. The generic mode of classification is preferred because it is the most extensive and treats oral literature forms independent of others. Under the generic classifications, we have three major divisions. And these are oral narratives, short formulaic forms, and oral poetry. Let us now go ahead and classify oral narratives further. Oral narratives have four major classifications under them, and these are myths, legends, folk or fairy tales, and fables. For the start, let us now watch a video of a myth from the Banyankole of Western Uganda. The myth of Ruhanga and his sons is given to explain the social stratification in Ankole in Western Uganda. Mbaganire
Tebere
Owira Mnonga
Tebere
Akaha omushaija
Tebere
yashera omukazi we
Tebere
bazaara abaana
Tebere
owokubanza bamweta Kaana
Tebere
owakabiri bamweta Kaana
Tebere
n'owakashatu bamweta Kaana
Tebere
kubabire bagira ngu Kaana
Tebere
bona beetaba
Tebere
bakigira ngu Kaana
Tebere
obundi babura kwetaba
Tebere
ishe yasharamu
Tebere
agira ngu ababatize
Tebere
konka yagira
Tebere
naza kubaha ekigezo
Tebere
yabahereza ebyanzi by'amate
Tebere
ebyanzi byijwire
Tebere
yaza kubyama
Tebere
yabagira ngu babirinde
Tebere
baza kubimuha omu kasheshe
Tebere
omwitumbi
Tebere
omwojo omukuru
Tebere
omujigiijo
Tebere
we yaguma nareeba
Tebere
bucuranda
Tebere
ko bwahikire omwitumbi
Tebere
yagwejegyera
Tebere
amatege yagaata
Tebere
baine nyina
Tebere
bamusaasibwa
Tebere
basharamu kumuheereza amatege abo
Tebere
omukuru yamuheereza ekicweka
Tebere
na n'owakabiri yamuheereza ekicweka
Tebere
atyo yagira ekyanzi kijwire
Tebere
kuzabeereza nka shaaha 11 z'omukasheshe
Tebere
na n'owakabiri amatege yagaata
Tebere
yaguma tiine kyayina
Tebere
omujigiijo ku yareebire mwine nyina yarra
Tebere
yamugirira esaasi
Tebere
yamuheereza amatege
Tebere
yagira ngu ishe ko ariije omu kasheshe
Tebere
naza kumushoborera
Tebere
Ruhanga kuyizira omu kasheshe
Tebere
yabuuza omukuru
Tebere
yashanga watiine mate
Tebere
yabuuza bucuranda
Tebere
yashanga bucuranda aine ekyanzi kijwire
Tebere
yabuuza owakabiri
Tebere
yashanga aine ekicweka ky'amate
Tebere
Ruhanga yasharamu
Tebere
yagira ngu omukuru
Tebere
yamweta Kiiru
Tebere
araba omwiro omuri biine nyina
Tebere
yagira ngu owakabiri
Tebere
yamweta Kahima
Tebere
araba omuriisa w'ente
Tebere
yagira ngu owakashatu
Tebere
owabire ari bucuranda
Tebere
yamweta Kakama
Tebere
araba omugabe
Tebere
nahabwekyo
Tebere
omuryankore
Tebere
nahabwekyo
Tebere
omuryankore
Tebere.
Nicho twinira Abahima,
Tebere.
Abiru,
Tebere.
Anomugabi.
Webare kutuganira.
Thank you very much. I now would like to give you an assignment. I'd like you to watch this video once again and attempt the following questions. You will give presentations during our next class session according to 3 groups that we shall form today. Each group should attempt tasks 1 to 3 in your presentations, and task number 4 should be done individually after your group discussions. These are the assignment tasks. Discuss the relevance of the myth you just watched on the video to the Banyankole of Uganda. Please go to the library, to the Africana section, and read Ruth Finnegan's African Oral Literature and define a myth. What peculiar characteristics do myths have compared to other oral narratives? These 3 tasks, you will attempt them in the groups that we are going to form. And the 4th task, which is to prepare a myth from your society that you will narrate to the class and give its implication to that society, you will do on your own. I repeat, the 4th task, you are going to do it as individuals, and it is prepare a myth from your society that you will narrate to the class and give its implication to that society. In the next lecture, we shall do a study of another type of oral narratives, namely legends. Thank you and blessings.